The Mountain That Moaned, 2008, Valais, Switzerland. There's a moment in the mountains when everything goes still, when even the wind seems to hold its breath. And on a cold February morning in 2008, in the heart of Valais, Switzerland, that silence was broken by a sound no one expected, a deep trembling moan that rolled out from the mountainside like something alive. It began just after sunrise. A group of hikers had stopped along the ridge, taking in the pale glow spreading across the Alps. Everything looked normal, calm, majestic, serene. Then the ground beneath their boots gave a subtle shiver, not enough to knock anyone off balance, but enough for every head to turn. And then it came, a low, resonant hum, so deep it felt like it came from inside their chests rather than the world around them. One hiker later said it was like a whale song trapped inside stone. Another compared it to a far-off horn, stretched and warped by the cold mountain air. Whatever it wasn't the wind, it wasn't machinery, it wasn't anything they could explain. The sound grew louder, rising in pitch, vibrating through the snowpack. Birds shot from the trees. Powder drifted from ledges far above, falling in soft, eerie curtains. The hikers shouted to one another, but their voices barely carried over the unnerving drone pulsing out from the mountain itself. Then, just as suddenly, the moan shifted, warbling, dipping, almost forming a rhythm, as if the mountain were trying to speak through layers of ancient ice and stone. One hiker recorded a few seconds on an old camcorder. When played back later, the audio was filled with strange harmonics, tones that scientists would describe as glacial resonance. But standing there in the moment, it sounded far more intentional than that. A final, thunderous rumble cracked through the air. Snow broke loose high on the slope, cascading down in a churning white wave. Not enormous, nothing catastrophic, but powerful enough to shake the valley. The hikers scrambled back as powder clouds billowed upward, swallowing the echoing remnants of the mountain's voice. And then, silence again. When experts arrived days later, they chalked the event up to shifting ice cavities beneath the surface, cold air rushing through frozen tunnels like a giant natural instrument. But the locals didn't buy that explanation so easily. For generations, they'd spoken of La Montagne Vivante, the living mountain, a spirit of the Alps that warned travelers of danger long before it struck. Whether myth or geology, one thing remained undeniable. The mountain moaned before it moved. And for those who heard it, that sound will never leave them. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow.